Hey, this is the third video in this guitar build series. What we'll do in this episode is design the guitar in a software called Inkscape. It's the first time I've done it that way. We'll print out those designs and we'll make templates out of this MDF sheet. You could draw the designs directly on the MDF sheet. I've done that before, but I'd like to get some digital designs that I can reuse in the future. So let's get started. First thing I did in Inkscape was to import a photo of a vintage Telecaster. I made it full scale, and this allowed me to add some reference lines and then do things like trace the fretboard, add fret markers to that board, and then start to populate the guitar. For example, this guitar will have one humbucker in the bridge and it'll have two single coils. I also downloaded pictures of tune-o-matic bridge and volume and tone controls and a 5-way switch. That gave me the basics so then I could start to work on the body shape. For the body shape itself, I not only referenced that Telecaster, but also took a photo of a guitar I made before, and then I just started drawing different shapes. And I did all of these on different layers within Inkscape, so I could learn with each iteration what I liked and what I didn't like. I did about 9 different versions and eventually settled on this one here. I also drew some other guides, like the area that I'll route out in the middle of the body, and also some sound holes on the upper bout. For the headstock, I referenced a Fender version and a Gibson version, and ended up drawing this here, which is a 3x3. I modeled the tuners that I bought and fit them on there, made sure that the strings went straight through the nut. And that's the full design there. Since I don't have a big plotter printer, I then printed it out on a few sheets and cut it out so I could glue it on some MDF. The hardest part here was making sure it printed full scale. I tried 2 or 3 times before I got it exactly right. For my printer, I had to scale things by about 4% for some reason. To glue these onto MDF, I used a glue stick. Felt like I was back in preschool. And then it's down to the wood shop to cut out the shape. On the bandsaw, I wanted to get within about a 1/4 inch, probably 1/8 of an inch of the line, but I'm going to sand all of these right up to the line, so the key is don't be a hero, don't nick the line and mess up the whole template. And once I was done cutting all the outside lines of the neck, then I moved on to the body and did the same thing. It may be obvious, but the point of these templates is to give us something for a router bit with a bearing to follow. The body blank and the neck that we made on the last episode will be cut out using these templates. And making this out of 1/2 inch MDF allows you to sand it to perfection, get the exact shape you want before you commit to the hardwood. Once the shapes had a rough cut, I then went over to the table to get the straight edges perfectly straight. I used a piece of poplar that I ran through the jointer. You could use anything that you trust the edge on. I've also used aluminum levels before as a reference. That works pretty well. Really, the idea is you line up your straight edge perfectly with that line from the printout, and then you run a pattern bit with a bearing along that straight edge. In general, the parts of the template you want to be perfectly straight are the edges of the neck that I'm routing right here. Also the heel of the neck, you want that to be perfectly rectangular, and the neck pocket of the guitar, you want all of those to be as straight as possible. You can see it's the same process here for the neck pocket portion of the guitar, getting those lines perfectly straight. Once I'm happy with the straight portions of the template, I then move over to the sanding area to get the curved portions of the template just right to the line. I use a couple of tools for this. I use the disc sander you see on the bottom there, and also an oscillating spindle sander you see on the top there. I'll also point out you don't need all these tools. I've done this by hand. It just takes a lot longer. It's nice having the spindle sander. It's the same process with the body template, just slowly sanding up to the line, making sure there aren't any bumps in the edge. One trick I learned off one of the luthier forums is to make a master copy of your templates. You spend a long time trying to get it the perfect shape with straight lines and perfect curves. And it really doesn't take much time to make a perfect copy of that. You can see what I'm doing here is putting that template we just made on top of another piece of MDF and just tracing it out with a router bit with a bearing. This allows you to put the copy up on a shelf, and if your original template ever gets damaged, or if it gets wet and swells since it's MDF, you can always pull down that master one and make another copy pretty quickly. And once you're done with that, you should have a neck template, a body template, and a master copy you can store away for another day. All right, now we have our templates. We have our body template we made out of MDF. We have our neck template. I made a separate video on this, but I used my small CNC to make a humbucker template for the pickup. And now things start to go pretty quickly. In our next video, we'll be routing out the body shape. We'll be routing out the neck shape, and eventually routing out the cavity for the semi-hollow and for the pickups themselves. This is one of the more tedious steps of building the guitar, getting these templates exactly right, but it pays off in the long run. So it'll be good to get back to working with the hardwoods. Thanks for watching.